apologize to her? Do you even know who I am? Vivienne's voice sliced through the ballroom like glass, her diamonds flashing beneath the chandeliers. But no one moved. No one spoke. Across from her stood Aisha, the quiet waitress who had just shattered a secret buried for decades. The millionaire's wife trembled, her perfect smile cracking as the truth unraveled before her guests. Power was slipping, and fear was taking its place. That night, the woman everyone feared met the one person she couldn't control. This is the story of the apology that came in tears. Welcome, story lovers. From where are you watching? Hit the like button and drop your city name in the comments so we can see how far our story travels. The ballroom glittered beneath golden chandeliers, a picture of luxury only the city's elite could afford. Waiters in crisp uniforms glided through the room like shadows, carrying trays of champagne and laughter they could never join. Among them was Aisha Morgan, her calm face hiding the exhaustion beneath. Every smile was practiced, every step measured. For 3 years, she had worked at the Harrington estate, where the rules were clear: serve, smile, stay invisible. The Harringtons were known for their wealth, but it was Vivienne Harrington, the millionaire's wife, who ruled the mansion. To the world, she was elegance personified: diamond necklaces, charity galas, polite laughter. But those who worked under her knew another version, a woman who enjoyed power a little too much. A single mistake could mean humiliation, a misplaced glass, a wrinkle in a napkin, enough to end someone's job. Aisha had learned early to stay quiet, to blend in. She needed this work. Every paycheck was a lifeline for her younger brother's college tuition. She had no room for pride, no space for anger. Not in this house. Especially not when Vivienne Harrington entered the room. That evening's charity banquet was supposed to be routine. Guests in sequined gowns filled the room with chatter. A string quartet played softly, and the scent of money and entitlement floated in the air. Aisha moved from table to table, her tray steady, her expression unbothered. But inside, something twisted, a quiet unease she couldn't explain. Vivienne's eyes followed her as she worked. There was something in that gaze. Recognition, perhaps? Or contempt disguised as curiosity. Aisha brushed it off, not knowing that tonight. The life she'd carefully kept hidden was about to collide with the past she never escaped. Because sometimes, the people who think they hold power forget that the tables can turn, even in the most glittering of rooms. The night unfolded like a scene from an old movie. Polished, extravagant, and painfully predictable. Every detail had been rehearsed, from the delicate crystal glasses to the perfectly timed laughter of the guests. And at the center of it all was Vivienne Harrington, flawless, untouchable, her diamond necklace catching every shimmer of light as if the room itself bowed to her. Aisha continued to move silently through the crowd, her hands steady despite the tension building in her chest. She had served these people countless times before. Men who didn't look her in the eye, women who spoke about helping the less fortunate while ignoring the staff standing inches away. It was an invisible world of hierarchy where kindness was a performance and dignity was optional. As the evening reached its peak, Vivienne's sharp voice cut through the music. "Excuse me," she said, loud enough for half the room to turn. Her gaze locked on Aisha. "Could we get someone a bit more suitable for this event?" The room quieted, the kind of hush that carries both amusement and anticipation. Aisha froze mid-step, tray in hand. Vivienne smiled. That polite, poisonous kind of smile that said she knew exactly what she was doing. "You see," Vivienne continued, "presentation is everything. My guests shouldn't be distracted." Her tone was soft, but every word dripped with malice. Some guests chuckled nervously, unsure if they were supposed to laugh. Others looked away, pretending not to notice. Aisha felt heat rise in her face. Years of restraint told her to stay silent, to lower her head and walk away. That was how you survived in places like this. But something about the way Vivienne said suitable dug deep into wounds she'd buried long ago. She placed the tray down, her movements controlled, precise. "My apologies, Mrs. Harrington," she said, voice calm. "Would you prefer someone else to assist?" Vivian tilted her head, pretending to think. "Oh, darling, it's nothing personal. It's just—" She gestured vaguely toward Aisha, her eyes flicking up and down. "People like you tend to stand out." The laughter that followed wasn't loud, but it was enough. Enough to make Aisha's throat tighten, her heart pounding in her ears. She could feel the eyes, the stares that pierced through her, curious and judgmental, like she was a scene in their entertainment for the night. In that moment, she remembered her mother. The woman who had once worked for the Harringtons decades ago. The woman who'd lost everything because of a lie Vivian told, a lie that destroyed her reputation, cost her livelihood, and left her broken. Aisha had never forgotten her mother's tears, her trembling hands, the day they'd been forced to leave their home with nothing but shame and silence. Aisha had returned to this estate for one reason: to rebuild, to survive. She had promised herself she would never confront Vivienne, never let anger consume her. But standing there, surrounded by murmurs and mocking glances, that promise felt fragile. Vivian turned away, satisfied, raising her glass to toast the room. "To class, Grace, and knowing one's place," she said with a smirk. The words hit like a blade. Aisha felt her composure slipping. She excused herself quietly and stepped toward the kitchen, her hands trembling. But she didn't cry. Not this time. Instead, she looked into the mirror near the service door, saw her reflection steady and strong. For the first time, she realized something powerful. Vivian had built her world on cruelty and fear. But fear only worked when people stayed silent, and Aisha was done being silent, because tonight, the truth was waiting. And when it came, it would echo through every corner of that glittering room. The air in the ballroom felt heavier when Aisha returned. Conversations dimmed as she walked back toward the table where Vivienne stood, laughter still lingering on her lips. No tray this time, no forced smile, just quiet, deliberate steps that seemed to draw every gaze in the room. Vivienne noticed first, her expression shifting from amusement to annoyance. "Oh, you're back," she said lightly. "I thought I made myself—" Aisha's voice cut through the music, calm but sharp enough to silence the room. "You did," she said. "Just like you did to my mother." The name that followed stopped Vivian cold. Faces turned, whispers rippling across the guests. Aisha didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. Her words carried weight, decades of injustice pressing behind every syllable. "My mother worked for you, Mrs. Harrington. She lost everything because of your lie, the one you told to protect your reputation." Vivian's face drained of color. Her hand trembled as she reached for her glass, but missed. The world she had built, all the power, all the control, began to crumble under the weight of recognition. Gasps filled the room. Phones discreetly lifted. Guests who once laughed now stared in stunned silence. Aisha didn't gloat. She simply looked Vivian in the eye and said, "Apologies mean nothing when they come too late." And as Vivian's composure shattered, tears streaming down the face she'd spent years perfecting, no one dared to look away. "Dear audience, where are you watching from? Drop your city name in the comments." The music had stopped long ago, but the silence that followed felt louder than any orchestra could play. Vivian stood frozen, mascara streaking down her face, her guests exchanging uneasy glances. For once, her words failed her. The woman who had ruled every room now looked small, stripped of the power she'd worn like perfume. Aisha didn't linger to watch her crumble. She placed her staff badge on the table beside Vivienne's untouched champagne glass and turned away. Each step she took toward the exit felt lighter, freer, like she was walking out not just of a mansion, but of years of silence and inherited pain. Behind her, whispers swelled, not gossip this time, but realization. Some guests looked ashamed, others curious, as if seeing the world for the first time without its golden filters. The truth had broken the illusion. The next morning, headlines carried the story. Waitress confronts socialite over hidden scandal. But for Aisha, it wasn't about headlines or revenge. It was about reclaiming her mother's dignity and her own. In a world where appearances often weigh more than humanity, one moment of truth can tilt the balance. That night wasn't just about justice. It was about reflection. For every person who had looked away when cruelty hid behind wealth, because silence protects power. And sometimes all it takes to break it is one calm voice refusing to stay quiet. Thanks for watching. Share this story and tell us, what would you have done?